of Mind class here at CSLDallas, and I hope that you're online because we only have a few intrepid people here in the room. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm hoping that you're all online, or the other folks will be drifting in. Okay, so we are in this conversation about mental and spiritual treatment, and the first sections, Ernest Holmes has been talking about what does it mean to be a practitioner, to practice this. But these next couple sections are really about what does it mean to be a professionally licensed practitioner. And the title of this little section is let me just read the paragraph right before the section we're in. The last paragraph of the previous one, this is on page 168. The professional mental and spiritual practitioner is one who has dedicated their life, their time, their energy, their intelligence to helping others through mental and spiritual means and methods, right? That's what a professionally licensed practitioner is. And it's so interesting that we're talking about this today because we're installing today 4 new spiritual coaches, practitioners here at CSLDallas. And it's so interesting that we're talking about it on a Sunday morning. I love this in the book. I love the serendipity of it all. I know, right? It's like we're just exactly on the right paragraphs to understand this. So the next little section is the first requisite. The first requisite. So we've already had a big conversation here in the room. What's the difference between a requisite?
Do I get to tell them?
And a requirement. Yes, so Ryan looked it up. What's the difference between a requisite and a requirement?
A requirement is something demanded by a rule, law, or person, while a requisite is something inherently necessary due to the nature of things or a situation. And now you know.
Yeah, and so really a different flavor, right? A different feeling, a requirement. And so to become a professionally licensed practitioner, we have requirements. You have to take a certain number of classes. You have to have completed inward journey. You then have to apply for and complete practitioner training. You then have to take a pretty extensive written test and then an oral panel. All of those are requirements. Now, interestingly enough, when I read this, the first requisite, I immediately thought of prerequisites, right? And we have Inward Journey coming up, which is a class I'd like to have absolutely everybody in our community take. And the prerequisites for that, you need to have 6 classes to get into Inward Journey. And so I heard the first requisite and of course immediately thought prerequisite, but actually they're requirements. A prerequisite is something essential to the nature of becoming a practitioner or being a professionally licensed practitioner. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on these couple chapters, these couple sections, because many of you are not going to become a professionally licensed practitioner, but this is very, very seminal, very important to those people who do, and it's very important to the 4 people that we'll be installing during our celebration. So the first requisite, can you say the definition, Ryan, of requisite? Just of requisite again.
A requisite is something inherently necessary due to the nature of things or a situation.
Yeah, thanks. So what's inherently necessary to the nature of being a professionally licensed practitioner is a full sense of the sacredness of the trust of being a professionally licensed practitioner. The sacredness of the confidence of his patient. We don't use the word patient, we use the word client. Which impels them to pour out their very soul. This confidence, we talk about the confidentiality that a practitioner has, our spiritual coaches have, the confidentiality a practitioner should keep sacred, inviolate, right? The confidence that the client speaks about what's going on with them, what they need spiritual mind treatment for. Our spiritual coaches and practitioners keep it perfectly confidential.
What's inviolate? I've never heard that word.
Well, the opposite of violation. So to not violate the confidential nature would be to be inviolate.
Thank you, that's perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And so the professionally licensed practitioner should no more betray this trust than would a priest who officiates at the confessional, a lawyer who handles the business and finances of their client, or a physician who cares for the physical well-being of their patient, right? So that's an absolute standard that we hold here. That is held all through Centers for Spiritual Living when somebody is a professionally licensed practitioner and spiritual coach. So what is the business of a practitioner? What is the business of a practitioner? We're talking now about a professionally licensed practitioner and spiritual coach. It is to uncover God in every person, basically to uncover the true nature of every person. Spirit, God is not sick, God is not poor, God is not unhappy, God is never afraid, God is never confused, God is never out of its place. The premise upon which all mental work is based is perfect God, perfect man, perfect being. So we don't use the word God quite as much. We might think of this infinite one, this infinite reality that everything is a part of. And it is perfect. And that is then the nature of human beings, and it's the nature of all being, is this whole, perfect, and complete. Now, not perfect like in perfectionism, not perfect like in flawlessness, perfect like in wholeness. Trees are perfectly being trees, even if they've been blasted with lightning. They're still growing, and half of it's still green. It's still wholly a tree, even if it looks imperfect to us, right? So this is not about perfectionism in any way, shape, or form, and I wish Ernest Holmes had never used that word. The problem is it comes out of the biblical phrase, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. So I don't actually know if perfect is the most accurate translation of what those words would have been when they were written. But they have come down to us, which is why Ernest Holmes picked up the word perfect. But there's a lot of agreement that's what's really meant by the use of this word is this idea of wholeness. Wholly what it's supposed to be, wholly oneself, wholly in alignment, wholly one's true nature, whether one is a human being or a star or a hummingbird. And so to recognize that this is the truth, this is the underlying truth of every being, every human being that comes before a practitioner who is also a spiritual coach, who's coaching us into the recognition of these truths, to remind us of what's really true about us, to remind us how to bring it into the situation and then to do spiritual mind treatment for us. Because what we know, as we talked about a few weeks ago, what we know what's known anywhere in mind is known everywhere in mind. So when the professionally licensed practitioner does a spiritual mind treatment, they do it in their own consciousness, but they know that that is the one consciousness. So therefore, it must outpicture in the person that they are doing this treatment for, being very clear. This treatment that I'm knowing this truth about is I'm knowing this truth about this person, regardless of the conditions. And so we expect the conditions to conform to the truth, not the other way around, right? We're constantly expecting the conditions to conform to the truth. And so we have to remind ourselves or cement in our consciousness what this truth is. So this next whole section is all about what a practitioner is doing. Recognizing the truth about the person, about their being, recognizing this work that they're doing in mind, and then doing this wholeheartedly until they completely know at every level of their being that this is the truth about the other person, regardless of what the other person is experiencing, right? Because the work is done in consciousness. The causal work is done in consciousness, which is why we tell people, go to a practitioner. Get some spiritual coaching about how to do this in this situation and do it for yourself, and have them do treatment. Have them do treatment, right? So then we get to share with each other, TSRW, this shit really works. It really does work. And when you start texting TSRW to your practitioner and to your friends and to your Sangha, it's really a powerful feeling, because things are then moving into alignment with the actual true nature and the essential reality that we are remembering, aligning with, and therefore must be bringing forth. So if you're interested in becoming a professionally licensed practitioner and spiritual coach, these two sections are really great, because this is what we're training people to do and what we're coaching them into doing and becoming. And then, of course, when they become professionally licensed and they get installed, like the 4 people today, it is what is expected of them. So it's really cool that we're going to be celebrating them. Okay, so I see that we already have a question, so it's going to go on, but I'm happy to stop. Ryan will say hello to you, and we have a question in the room or a comment, and we'll see if there's anything else to talk about this, and then we can go on if we need to. So Armando,
Yes.
if you want to pass that back to Brian, and then Ryan, we're going to say good morning to everybody who is online with us today.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Petra, and good morning to everybody here. And as Brian has just demonstrated, just raise your hand and we will hand the microphone off to you. And for those who are joining us all over the world on Zoom and Facebook Live, so happy you are here with us today too. For those who are joining us in the Zoom room, you can hit the raise your hand icon located down below, and I can call you into the room. And for the folks on Facebook Live, make sure to leave your questions and comments in the chat, as well as where you're watching us from today. We'd love to see that, and we can bring those into the room. I also just like to mention I keep the chats anonymous. That way we can continue to have a safe container for spiritual growth. So let's go ahead with you, Brian. What's your question or thought?
Yes, I had a quick question. When it comes to being a practitioner and a spiritual coach, if a person was to decide to go down that path, how long will it take?
It usually takes somewhere between 3 and 4 years. Okay, so there's 6 classes that you need to take anybody needs to take before they can get into Inward Journey. As I said, I would love everybody in our community to take Inward Journey. It is an amazing class. So you need 1 class on the Ernest Holmes's philosophy, the science of mind. You need 1 class on the history of New Thought, where that all came from. And then the other 4 classes are split between consciousness classes and electives. It's all spelled out on our website on the education page. And you can see what all those prerequisites are. We try to make certain that we offer a history class and a philosophy class every year, so people can get into the cycle of taking the classes. Then Inward Journey, which is starting on September 22nd with fabulous practitioner Sherry Wood. Inward Journey is starting. We've got a great group forming, so if you've already taken 6 classes and you want to go for it, not to be a licensed practitioner, but really dive in deep and do the healing work and the personal work, get into Inward Journey. That's a year. Then you have to apply for practitioner training. Practitioner training is then a year of vocational training. We teach you how to be a spiritual coach for somebody who comes to you for spiritual coaching, which are paid for sessions. And we teach you how to work with someone to do spiritual mind treatment with them on a Sunday or a Wednesday after our gatherings, when they call in a crisis, or when they call because they're ready to, start a new business and they want to anchor it in. So that's also a 9-month training. So it usually takes 18 months. If you're really dedicated, it'll take about 18 months to take the 6 classes or more. A lot of people take, they just take every class they can during that period of time. And then it's 9 months, basically a year for Inward Journey. You apply, and what you're applying is you're actually recognizing that taking the practitioner training is no longer for your own personal benefit. You're now called into service to others. And you have to apply to the senior minister and say, I have a call, and really be able to talk about that, because practitioner training is, as I said, it's a vocational and skilled training, help you build consciousness, really learn how to live from the consciousness of oneness, really learn how to see the truth in others. Because up until that point, we're generally mostly just interested in ourselves, quite truthfully. We're trying, we're working on ourselves, healing ourselves, and getting ourselves in alignment. So that's about how long it takes. Okay, all right, we have a comment or a question up here.
And then we have one online.
Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, I saw your hand. So we'll go online, and then we'll come to you, Armando.
Okay, so we'll go to Ross. Ross, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and join us?
Good morning, Ross. Oh, you might have to take yourself off mute.
Hold on.
Uh-oh, we've got a something technical.
Yeah.
Hold, please. Oh, the speaker's not plugged in. Hold, please.
Unplugged.
So, all right, it's coming on. There you are. There you are. Yay, thank you. Thank you, Ryan, for always knowing what to do. All right, good morning, Ross.
Well, I was expecting to be there today, but I got a surprise. Surprise was if you lay around for a month, your body doesn't work right.
Yeah.
The astronauts go up in space and all the muscles get all weak.
Yes.
Next week, though, I'm coming back strong.
Good.
I've had a lot of opportunity then to do spiritual mind treatment to the best of my ability. And it really reorganizes my thinking.
Oh, man, yes. I love that you just said that. Go ahead.
Because I'm looking at this healing thing, and because that's one of the many that I've now done, and I now look at how healing actually happens, and how it's the history of all creatures. So the ancestors gave this to us, and it's just a natural thing that's going to happen if I get aligned with it.
Go ahead.
And then I get into, well, what happens then when real recovery happens, because I don't have any pain anymore.
Good.
I just have the weakness. And like my whole being is centered on how do I gather information for that? And it's effortless. It's not like I have to struggle with it. And the things I'm learning are phenomenal. And they were always there.
Yes. Beautiful. You have encapsulated in such precise language the value of spiritual mind treatment. It reorganizes our thinking, and it's always reorganizing it in alignment with truth. Truth with a capital T, with causal spiritual truth. And when our thinking is realigned, right, then that we're in alignment with the natural order of the universe. Our bodies do, in fact, know how to heal. Our bodies, your body has muscle memory. Your body knows and remembers how to be strong. And the more that we align with the true nature of who we are, and we align with these things, our body goes, oh, okay, that's right. Because the law is saying, oh, that's true. And it must then reflect. But spiritual mind treatment is always and only about the work we do in our own consciousness, right? Reorganizing our thinking is a beautiful way to say it. Out of condition into cause. Out of human worldly wisdom into spiritual truth. Out of, oh my God, this is hard, to nothing is too big for the infinite to handle. Right? We're constantly reorganizing our thinking using spiritual mind treatment. And sometimes, when it's a little challenging for us to do, right, we can trust that somebody else can do that for us. While we're doing the work of getting well or doing our business or whatever, it can be really nice to know that there are other people who are doing that as well for us and about our situation, right? And so that's when we ask our spiritual coaches and practitioners to do that work for us. That beautifully said, and I'm so glad you're having that experience, Ross. And we expect to see you next week. Keep reminding your body, it remembers. It has great muscle memory. It remembers how to be strong. I was doing that all week I was in Alaska, and when I first got to Alaska, and my right leg was still recovering from after I had broken my collarbone last year, and there was a lot of compensation. And I've been working on treatment and with my chiropractor and all these kinds of things. And the first day in Alaska, my right leg, in about 20 minutes, felt like I'd walked for 2 hours. And my left leg was going, finally, we're walking, yay! And I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. So I just reminded my right leg that it knew how to do this. It knew how to do this, and I kept doing my spiritual mind treatment, alignment, reorganizing my thinking. I do not have to be stuck with this. My body does know how to do this. And by the time we left, my whole body was going, yay, let's walk some more. And so it's all about reorganizing ourselves, getting out of our fear and our worry, and what if it doesn't happen, and oh my God, is this, and then all the conventional, oh, it's because you're getting older, oh, it's because this happened, oh, because of the economy, oh, because of the people, all that stuff. We're reorganizing our thinking to the spiritual truth. Brilliantly said. Thank you, Ross. All right, we have another comment here.
Good morning, Dr. Petra. Armando.
Good morning, Armando.
I just wanted to share a little bit about treatments. When I first came to CSLDallas, it took me some time to understand, and I think part of it was just kind of going with the flow, and type thing. And as I started to see more TSWs and more manifestations, I started to get more clarity, and not in specific something in form, but just in clarity,
yes,
in the bigger picture, the bigger vision. Not only for myself, but for the world.
Yes.
And that was one thing that I really struggled with a world that works for everyone. Mm-hmm. And it took me years to figure out what that really meant.
Yes.
And as I've grown with treatments, I also realized that the energy that I feed into it, the consciousness that I feed into that treatment, and following up with spiritual coaches, and reaching out. And it's not just when things are not doing good, it's also when things are great.
Yes, yes.
I'll never forget the day that I came and I said, I want more. I want more. And I've never asked for a prayer like that before.
Yes.
And it was a game changer. And it's just, for me, I've just grown, and I just kept at it, and now I see the manifestations every day. And I think that's one of the things also with the treatments, that sometimes I forget the small wins, the small manifestations that happen every single day. But I always been looking for the big stuff.
Right.
And then it's like, well, there are some small things every single day that do get manifested.
Yes.
And if I'm not blooming, I'm still moving.
Yes. Beautiful. Oh, man, so many important things that you have just said right there. Right. I love that. It does take time to really learn how to do spiritual mind treatment. Next week, we'll probably begin the next section where there are really two different ways in which we use the technology of spiritual mind treatment. One of them is argumentative treatment, where we're actually convincing ourselves of the truth because we don't yet know it. But as we do more and more and more spiritual mind treatment, and as we have more and more demonstrations, we move more into what's called the realization treatment, which is where we are already coming from the recognition that this is the truth, this is how it works, and we're now being directive and aiming it at some part of our lives. So the spiritual mind treatment, while we teach it as a way of healing or manifestation, for me, the truth is, it's been the most powerful spiritual practice. It is the day in, day out, week in, week out, month after month, year after year, work with spiritual mind treatment that, as Ross so beautifully put it, has completely reorganized my thinking so that I have embodied the teachings as opposed to just being able to talk about them. Right? Because when you have to do spiritual mind treatment and you have to remind yourself of the true nature of life and ourselves, and you have to do that, and you have to work to have the energy, the belief, the faith, like, is this really true? Well, I'm gonna work to know that it's really true, right? that's reorganizing not just my thinking about a particular thing, but it's reorganizing my thinking altogether and building a new paradigm in consciousness. So for me, my deepest spiritual experiences and my deepest spiritual practice is spiritual mind treatment. Meditation is a support for that. But it is really in the long term spiritual mind treatment as a spiritual practice. And so that really becomes, then it is not just about, we move beyond, I have to heal or change something. We really move into creation. I want to manifest. I want to manifest a more loving experience with my family. I want to manifest growth in my business. I want to grow into a greater contribution. I want more, not more stuff, more life. More expression of life, more fulfillment of life, more contribution in life, right? So we always want to be careful when we hear people say, I do this because I want more. This is not capitalist more based on advertising. It's really important. Now, we do sometimes need some of that, no question about it. We need a little more money or we need a little more something. And it's perfectly great along the way. You might grow a business and all of a sudden, realize you need more. You need a capital infusion. Then we do a treatment. Do you see what I'm saying? And so then form and expression, they start playing together. They become a whole life, not just individual things. And eventually we do recognize that we can stop having to focus on healing things, healing patterns, healing, changing, right? Eventually those things do actually shift because we've reorganized our thinking, which basically means we've used neuroplasticity to create new synaptic patterns that our brain supports the very consciousness that we have really decided to own and to live in. So beautifully shared. Thank you so much, Armando. And it's so lovely to have examples of people who have been working with this for a long enough time, right? That we start getting into that place. And then that's why we have testimonials. So people can say, okay, I'd like to get to that place too. And that's why we call it a practice, right? You got to keep doing it. Not because practice makes perfect, but because practice is what we do. We practice our principles. We don't just talk about them. All right, fabulous. Another comment here.
Petra, we had earlier this week when we were in, I don't know if it was this week or last week, we had to check in at our staff meeting, and you had mentioned about asking, and I asked for this. And I've been trying to catch myself when I'm needing something or wanting something. And I was on the phone with a friend the other night, and, with them wanting to, like, for example, start a business. And it's like, okay, we need to ask for some. I was like, nope. Your voice is in my head saying, we don't ask for it. I declare it, but what word could I use if I'm asking, if I'm wanting just like supplies or wanting, just, cause I'm asking, I'm
see,
giving details. So.
Yes, so here's the thing. Asking implies it's not already here.
Mm-hmm.
But in spiritual mind treatment, it's always about knowing that it's already there. It's already here. Any word that so the big thing is to take ing out of any of your verbs. Don't use ing, right? But the minute that you ask for something, you are confirming for the law that it's not here. So one of the things you can do, this was an interesting revelation for me. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and this revelation really was only like in the last 5 years. Because we've been reading this book over and over and over again, right, together, and I use it for a lot of classes and things like that. All of a sudden, I began to notice the word accept. And we tend to use it in the Buddhist tradition casually. Well, I just have to accept it is what it is. But that's not the way we use the word when we are practicing the science of mind. Now, yes, we do have to accept the way it is, that is what it is, because what is the product of our previous thinking. Right? It is what it is. It is actually the outpicturing of our previous thinking and all the ways we've shown up and behaved and thought. But to have in consciousness that which has not yet appeared in manifest form, I have to accept it. I have to accept that it's already here. That I accept it in consciousness so that the law says, oh, you have that? Oh, okay, well, let me get on to it. Start, because it is our acceptance. Sometimes I think we say the word, you have to believe in it. I think sometimes that trips us up because we think, well, I don't believe in it because I don't see it. So it's really worthwhile, if you have a concordance to the science of mind, if you have a concordance, a concordance is not an index, but it shows all the partial sentences where a word is being used. If you have a concordance to the science of mind, there's actually one in the back of this book, and it would be really interesting to go to the concordance, and then you look up the word accept. Acceptance. Okay, so let me just show you this. The very first time the word accept is in the concordance is over here at the bottom of page 684. Okay, accept, acceptance, accepted, accepts, all the way down to the top of 686. That's how many times that word is used in Ernest Holmes's conversation and explanation about the science of mind and how to use it. Now, I don't know why I had never noticed that before. But this is why we keep doing this, and this is why you keep taking classes, and this is why you keep reading the books, because every time you read it, you think, somebody rewrote it. That was not in there before, right? No, because we were not available to it at that moment. We were looking for something else or some other idea or word caught us. So instead of asking, one word we could use is I accept, especially if you have trouble with I have, because your brain will say, but actually, no, you don't. But that's why Ross's comment about rearranging our consciousness, rearranging our thinking. We have to rearrange our thinking to recognize that all our work is done on the causal level. And yes, in fact, we do already have. That's a lot of, like you have to explode an old paradigm that physicality is the truth. It's not. So you're exploding this old paradigm that says, well, you either have it or you don't. You either have the book or you don't have the book. No. We have it in consciousness, and we know the book is coming, right? It's ours now because it's ours in consciousness because we have accepted it as true. Do you see what I'm saying, right? So it's not that we're accepting what is just is what it is. No. That's not how we use the word acceptance. In the science of mind. So I have, I declare, I am, these are all great words. And sometimes we have not completely reorganized our thinking yet to understand that we're doing this at the causal level. And so accept might be, instead of I ask for supply, I accept supply. I accept supply. Because the universe is forever giving what is needed, so I accept supply. Okay, I accept supply. Okay. Oh, and the law starts showing up.
And you know what? What came to my mind when I heard accept is I accept the fact that that I am funded. I accept the fact that I have all the supplies that I need. I accept that I have all the funding that I need. I accept that I have the support, and I accept I will attract the right.
Exactly. Not will. I am attracting. I now attract everything that I needed. So not will, no INGs, right? Not because it's not magic, or it's not like you're going to curse it, or, but you're reorganizing your thinking. You're reorganizing. And these words, it's some of these tiny things that show us that we're still waiting for something to do it for us. We're waiting for it to, and we're living with, I'll believe it when I see it. You're welcome. Although in the science of mind, we see it because we've believed it. Basically, we see it because we've accepted it. We've accepted it as the truth with a capital T. And now we're just waiting for it to manifest. And sometimes there's a manifestation time in the space-time continuum. Let's say funding. You want to get a line of credit. You got to go to the bank, right? You get your line of credit. Sometimes there's space-time, right? It takes time for them to do the paperwork, to get it approved, right? But during that time, there's no anxiousness because we've already accepted it as done. And then usually what's happened is people are surprised, not on our end, on the other end, they're surprised, wow, that happened so quickly. Well, of course, we knew that. Of course we knew that, because there was no question that it was, in fact, already handled. But now there's just the doingness on the space-time continuum. And so, beautiful, great questions. Okay, did you have something you wanted to add?
I just realized that you can't have it until you accept it.
Correct. Well, or you can have it and you will lose it.
Yeah.
That's what happens with a lot of people who win the lottery.
Because last week when I called you, I was so in turmoil.
Yes.
About what was wrong with me and what was going on with me, and just hearing you put it all in perspective, and it was like, yes, that's it. Yes.
That's the truth. And now I accept that my body and my life is going to conform to that truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
I love that. I love that. And that's why we have professionally licensed practitioners, so that we can call them and be reminded of the truth, right? And it helps. They don't have to say it out loud to you. But it can really help, because our job when somebody's doing a spiritual mind treatment for us, our job is to just be in agreement and to accept that what that person is saying is the truth about us. And the more that we can do that, right, the more that, and then we start, like for what happens for me, if somebody does spiritual mind treatment for me, usually there's some phrases in there that I'm like, oh, that. So I just grab it and I start using it in my treatments, because it has a resonance, because I feel something about those words where maybe other words feel more mechanical, or they feel more, I don't know, something. I don't have a resonance with the words.
You get stuck in your own words.
Yes.
And you're not as creative with your own
Yes.
words. And to hear someone else say it in a different way,
Yes.
then that helps clarify.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's why spiritual mind treatments aren't rote. We don't use the same words every time, because every spiritual mind treatment is different. We can when we're starting out and learning. You can write it, and then you read it, and then you read it again and again and again and again. But they're alive. The spiritual mind treatment is an alive thing, and we really allow ourselves to find those words. And sometimes hearing someone do it for us helps us, yes, get out of a box about the way we've been thinking about it. Beautiful. Oh, yes, thank you. Ryan, anything that we have out there that anybody want to share and talk about it? Okay. So, use our practitioners for spiritual mind treatment. Get sessions for spiritual coaching from them, because they will teach you how to reorganize your thinking. They will remind you where you're stuck in condition and how to move into spiritual truth. Because it's not just the spiritual mind treatment, it's then living it out. Right? The day-to-day living it out, and to keep ourselves from falling back into old thinking. And so you can have our practitioners do spiritual coaching for you around healing, around how do you bring your consciousness to business, to growing something, to attracting something new, to creating something new. You can contract for a practitioner to be a spiritual coach and a practitioner for your business. I've done that for people. We've had a lot of our people who are growing businesses, right? And they know that every month they're meeting with that practitioner. They're talking about, now all of a sudden I'm caught in whatever, I need something from the government, blah, blah, blah. And, oh no, okay, how do we do this? What's the treatment? But also what do I need to do, or do you need to do as the client, to not be afraid and not get caught in condition, right? And so you can contract for someone to really support you as you are growing something and really creating something new in your life, or something new that you want to contribute to the world. Lots and lots of different ways to really lean into these people who have been well trained and have given their life to this kind of service. And it's really extraordinary. So I just love that this was the topic for today, and we have 4 new ones that will be installing into their service here at CSL Dallas. So that's happening today at the celebration. So join us in person and online. We have some pretty cool things that are coming up here. We've talked about the class. We have the Inward Journey. We also have a prosperity class coming up, spiritual economics. So if you really are looking to grow your finances, it is an amazing class with a great book. Classic prosperity book in New Thought by Eric Butterworth, Spiritual Economics. We have a workshop coming up the first week in October, which is with Lisa Ferraro. She's going to be our special music that Sunday morning, and she's doing a beautiful workshop, really based on Rumi's work. It's very much an introspective, beautiful experience. What else have we got going on? We have a volunteer fair next week, both in person and online after the celebration. So if you're looking to get connected, or we need you to want to get connected and be involved, so come to the volunteer fair. What else have we got going on? Anything else we want to talk about?
Well, and the volunteer fair is both online and in person too. So we do have opportunities for the online engagement team if you guys are online and you'd wish to learn more about that and other online volunteer opportunities as well too. Because we are a hybrid community.
Yes, we are.
I just want to give a plug in for spiritual economics.
Yes.
I did that 2020, and it was a game changer. It changed my entire organization. It's just a big game changer, and I think that was really the opening to accepting financial growth and prosperity. So
I love that. It is really. So when does spiritual economics start? Do you know?
It's going to be
I can't remember.
week in October.
Okay, you do not, if you have any interest in working on your finances for yourself personally or for your business, Armando has given a great testimonial. It is my experience from the class. When I took it, when I give it, when I teach it, I'm not teaching it, but it is an amazing curriculum. It's 8 weeks, and your consciousness will be reorganized around finances. It's really awesome.
It's going to be starting Thursday, October 2nd.
Great. Wednesday night. Oh, yes, this coming Wednesday night. Thank you for saying that. This coming Wednesday night, we have a special music guest.
Katsuk.
Yep.
And it's going to be online. We're going to be live streaming it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
As well as we will be here in person starting at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Central Time, sacred music. Beautiful sacred music, lots of different instruments. He's really amazing. We had him here a few months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So we're having him back by popular demand. Really lovely. So there will be light snacks, but it really is about being in the sacred music. So that will be from 6 to 6:50. And then, of course, we'll have our regular meditation and conversation afterwards. So join us in person or live, in person or live streamed. It's free. and just be bathed in the music, right? We know how beautiful sacred music is for us. So lots of fabulous things coming up. You can check them all out on the events page at CSL Dallas. And if you're here in person, we always have the one page that has all the stuff going on that you can find out about. All right, so we'll see you at the celebration for our installation of our new practitioners, or we'll see you next week. Bye for now. Yay.